Each week, we're going to be introducing all the women that participated in this PSA. So let me see if I can get her to join in. Yes, I see her here. Her to come up. The first one that I'm excited to introduce is Troian Bellisario. So let's see. Oh, there you are. Hi, Troian. How are you?
I'm good. My daughter is having a blast in the next room, so perfect timing.
This is what it feels like to be working moms from home. I know exactly the feeling myself.
Yeah, you do. It's so lovely to see you. How are you today?
Good, good. And just, I haven't been able to thank you in person yet, but the PSA turned out wonderful. And just
I,
thank you so much for being a part of it.
I am so thrilled to be a part of it, and to be in the company of such amazing women and to be working with Child Rescue Coalition. I'm just super excited. So I can't wait for everybody to see it.
Yes, I know. Well, we launched it today and we have thousands and thousands of views already. So if you haven't seen it yet, please go to our Instagram page and you can see the video, or on Facebook as well. And please share it, because that's really what the whole purpose of this is, to get the word out about the work that we're doing at Child Rescue Coalition. So for those of you who know Troian very well, she is an actress who best known for her role in Pretty Little Liars, and then also is just an amazing, fierce advocate for so many causes. So we definitely thank her for being here and for supporting our cause and using your voice to highlight, you know, a really important problem that we face, which is child sexual abuse. So let's start there. Why was it important for you to use your voice talking about Child Rescue Coalition?
Well, I guess for me, it really started when I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to Sam Harris's Making Sense. And Sam Harris was interviewing a New York Times reporter named Gabriel Dance, who had done a very thorough, multi-article, deep journalistic review about what was going on with child sexual abuse material online. And it was like a 2-hour long conversation that I was just like, my jaw was open the whole time. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even understand why it wasn't being called child pornography anymore. You know what I mean? Just even like that, learning about what it means, learning about, how far it's come from just an image of a child, and what technology, and how amazing it is that that technology has come so far, but also what it means for child sexual abuse material, what it means for children that are being abused. And so I was just floored by the conversation, and I immediately, actually, like through Twitter, reached out to Gabriel Dance, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm just, I know you're a New York Times journalist. I don't even know how to approach you. I heard you talking and I want to know how to help. And he was kind enough to schedule a call with me and just answer all my questions. And and I said, but what can I do? How can I, like, what can I do? I'm just overwhelmed. I'm a mom. I'm terrified. And one of the first things that he said was, you should check out Child Rescue Coalition and see what they're doing and the technology that they've created. And that was when I reached out directly to you guys and basically said the same thing, which is just, how can I be of service?
Yeah. Wow. I actually didn't know that you had reached out to him, and that was the original time you had heard about us. And their stories were amazing. I mean, they really did go so in depth and really show the full picture, which I think a lot of people weren't really getting, how big of a problem this was and how much of it really goes on around the world. They did an amazing job really showing the depth of the problem. And it was actually working with Blake Lively that we got an introduction to them when they were doing one of their stories about child sexual abuse. So they've been great advocates to really get truth and awareness out there. So it's amazing that we were able to connect through that as well.
Yeah.
And I know that you've been an advocate for so many different causes. I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about some of the work that you've been passionate about and some of the things that you support and why.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. I mean, definitely working to combat child sexual abuse material online, anything that I can do. And you guys have really just opened the door for me to step in and work with you, support you. And that's been really, really helpful. I work with a couple of other organizations right now. My friend has recently become a foster parent, and he turned me on to this really wonderful organization called Together We Rise, because I didn't really know a lot about the foster care system. And
Right.
and not only taking care of children within the foster care system, but what happens when they age out of the foster care system? What happens when they go to college? Where did they go on their breaks? Where did they go when schools shut down for quarantine because they couldn't go home?
Right.
So Together We Rise is really wonderful. And I partnered with Humble Deodorant to try to like make a product that would benefit them. So that's a really
Oh,
cool
that's great.
thing to be part of. And then I also am on the board of this other nonprofit that is called Everyday Action, which right now is focusing on taking meals that aren't eaten on sets, because it's a perfect time during quarantine. All meals are individually like packaged and served, and so they're like ready to go. And if somebody doesn't claim them during the day on a set of a television show or a film, somebody from Everyday Action shows up and picks up the meals and delivers them straight to homeless encampments or shelters, and really just make sure that that food isn't going to waste, and that it's we're feeding our local communities that need it.
Well, that's really great. Those sound like amazing causes. And it's really why, for Women's Month, we're highlighting you guys and the fact that you're taking your time using your voice and advocacy to really make a difference. And we certainly appreciate it at Child Rescue Coalition. I wanted to, so you've seen our technology. We got to meet a while ago. And I just wanted you to kind of talk about what you think of its impact of how that we're able to provide technology to law enforcement, and how that's able to help children.
Well, I think what really I keep on saying like what really floored me, but I'm constantly surprised as by when I became aware of this issue, when I became aware of the work that you guys were doing. I was just so shocked and overwhelmed, because what Child Rescue Coalition was for me was there was this like insurmountable problem, that with technology, with every single platform, whether it was Instagram or Facebook, or whether it's Dropbox, or whether it's Kick Messenger, like at TikTok, there is a way to share this material. And to me, when I heard that, I was just so afraid and scared, and wanted to eradicate it all and figure out how to do that. And when I heard about Child Rescue Coalition, and when you guys were kind enough to take me through that sort of virtual explanation of your technology that your father built.
Yeah, I started this organization because my father was a huge advocate for children. He sat on the board for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But he was a technologist and passionate programmer, but really believed in building tools that could work with law enforcement to rescue, identify, and help when children were being endangered. And so every time in those instances that a child was endangered, he always donated the technology for free. And so it was after he passed away that we said this needs to live within a nonprofit, that we started Child Rescue Coalition, and have continued to keep this technology free and available to law enforcement all around the world. And so really in his honor.
I mean, your father, like what an incredible contribution and invention that your father made, because to watch it, for you guys at home, I got to look into the technology and see it working in real time. They were like, you live in Los Angeles, let's look at Los Angeles. And so they they opened up for me, and I was able to see what a law enforcement officer sees, track computers that are downloading this material, because this material, if it's been identified as CSAM, child sexual abuse material, it has like a fingerprint. And as soon as it enters your computer, Child Rescue Coalition is able to, through their programs, identify that your computer has this many files, which of those files, what are they named? And it's essentially like you're doing the work of law enforcement, and you're handing over evidence so that police officers can go in and can stop these predators in real time to make sure that no more children are harmed and that this material doesn't continue to get downloaded. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely what it is. Law enforcement have an overwhelmingly large hurdle of being the ones to go in, rescue victims, even seizing the evidence and having to be exposed to this really the darkest material that could be traded on the internet. And these internet crimes against children officers really are amazing heroes. And we're just trying to make their job easier to do, more simple, to find these children and find these dangerous predators that we know, unfortunately, are hands-on abusers of children.
And that's a really, really wonderful point that you make too, is that with your technology, these law enforcement officers who are so brave and who have to see the worst things that you and I could imagine.
Right.
What's really wonderful about your program is that it goes in, it identifies the file, and it identifies it as a label, so that the law enforcement officer doesn't have to look at the image, which is, when you think about it, continued abuse of the child, and it's continued exposure of the child that's in the image. And so it really does allow them to continue to do this incredible work while taking a step back. That's going to also preserve their mental space, because I couldn't look at this material. What I mean? Even if it meant I'm going to be able to stop this, I'm going to be able to, take a predator, and I'm going to be able to charge them and stop them from the ability to continue to abuse this child. What happens then? How do you emotionally take care of yourself when you have had to expose yourself to this?
Yeah.
Over and over again. And so, even when you were just showing me your program, I remember seeing some of the titles of the files, and it disturbed me for so long afterwards. And so I really appreciate that your technology is also sort of like an extra layering of protection for the law enforcement officers who do this brave work anyways.
Yeah, definitely. It's it can be, mental health in this field, in this industry, is a serious thing. Even officers having to go in doing mental health check-ins just because they are exposed to, really, as we said, the most horrific material that exists on the internet. And any way we can make their job easier. But I agree with you. I'm so fortunate to not have to be one of those officers who actually views or sees this material. But every single day doing this job, seeing the file names, seeing how young some of these victims are, that 2, 3, 4-year-old are being featured in these videos. It's very hard to know that, and know that we have the power to identify them. It's really what just encourages me to, want to get this tool in as many hands of as many officers as possible, as well as companies too, tech companies, to be able to make sure that these people aren't the ones that get access to our children, because they're certainly dangerous.
I wonder, and I wanted to ask you this, but when somebody is working at a large tech company, I know that there are people who are in charge of, there are reports of child sexual abuse material that might be traded on a platform, and it's somebody's job at these tech companies to review that and to see if that's going on. And I was just wondering, is that something that maybe we could encourage people who are watching this video to write into tech companies and ask, do you work with programming like Child Rescue Coalition's technology? Would you consider it? Is that something we can encourage?
I would definitely. encourage people to do that, because, I think thankfully, a lot of tech companies are wanting to take a stance to do something about this problem. Some of them, unfortunately, aren't doing enough. But I definitely encourage them to reach out to us, reach out to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But one thing Child Rescue Coalition could be doing with a partnership with them is letting them know about IP addresses that we know are actively trading this kind of material. And so it could be an added screening level of alerting their security team to take an extra look at a certain individual on their platform. We have successfully been able to work with babysitting online platforms to be able to monitor and make sure that someone who was just in possession of child sexual abuse material isn't the same person applying to be a babysitter that same day, which we have caught individuals who were, an example that popped into my head, a man wanting to be a babysitter and was willing to travel 150 miles for the job and would work as low as $5 an hour. And then also we were able to match that IP address in our system, which it definitely rose to a security threat for that company, and hopefully block a dangerous potential predator from gaining access to a child. So certainly, and we think a lot of different companies, different online platforms could certainly benefit from a partnership with us. So we certainly welcome them to reach out and want to partner with us.
That's a wonderful thing to request. And maybe even, for people to, request, like you said, to request if they are a babysitting company or maybe, childcare educational center, just to say, have you run your applicants' IP addresses through this technology? Just so that you have that extra layer of screening. Because like you said, we know for a fact that people who download this material are more likely to be hands-on abusers. It's not just about wanting to view something that other people, like myself and like yourself, might find horrific and awful. But some people might say, oh, I'm just downloading things that already exist in the world. It's like we know that people are using this material to train new predators, to, teach each other how to abuse children and how to get away with it.
Actually, 85% of those that are in possession of child sexual abuse material have already been a hands-on offender of children. So we really believe it's not a matter of if, but when, when they start viewing this material more often, when they're able to have access to a child, it's definitely a huge indicator and a proactive way of hopefully intervening before abuse occurs. So it's definitely goes beyond just the videos and images, which are horrific enough and destroying someone's life by sharing over and over and over again. But it goes beyond that because they're viewing that on their online life and then they're abusing children in their real life. So we want to stop both instances.
And also, like you said, if you put this in the hands of law enforcement officers, they can find out if the IP addresses that are downloading or are creating a lot of this material belong to people who are in a position to have a relationship to a child, whether that's terrified, like a parent, somebody who's doing childcare, an older sibling. Like all of these things are, sadly, the things that we need to talk about. And your technology is just so amazing because it just provides evidence that we need to be able to make a difference and stop this material.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you again for using your voice and platform to bring awareness to it.
I'm totally honored just to be associated. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. So jumping a little bit away. So given that this is Women's Month, what advice do you have for women that are looking to get more involved in causes and really be their own advocate?
That's a really wonderful question. I'm only speaking from what has been working for me, especially it's new with quarantine, right? Like I think for me in the past, what I was really impassioned about was finding a cause that really spoke to me and then donating my time for in-person volunteering. And you can't really do that so easily anymore. So there's a lot of different things that I've been discovering. You know, I know mostly a lot of them have to do with fundraising online, but mostly just spreading awareness. I think the biggest thing that we can do, and I know that sometimes people think, you know, oh, if I can't donate money, then I'm not able to help. You know, I don't know what. I think just learning as much as you can about a cause or an issue that really, really hits you on a heart or a gut level, and then talking to people in your community about that. And because that, it's like it's kind of like sending out a spark and including other people to get involved in the work and to do essentially what I did with Child Rescue Coalition, which is just to contact you and say, how can I help? What do you guys need? Is it fundraising? Is it time? Is it to spread awareness of this technology? Is it to spread awareness of the issue? You know, is it packing these incredible bags that can be given to
Yeah.
you know, I think once something hits you on a gut level, follow that instinct, find the charities and the organizations that are already doing this incredible work. Sorry. And then see what you can do to support them. I really think the wonderful side of this technology, you know, we're talking about a lot about the negative sides of it, but the wonderful side of this technology is that it makes it so easy for me to reach out and learn about what you're doing and what you have been doing for so long, you know, and how I can get involved with you.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about quarantine and how we're still able to make a difference. And I think a big one is too, like you said, I'm just kind of repeating here, but it's such a big point is sharing and telling your friends, telling people about it, because people are more likely to support and want to give and want to get involved when someone they know, you know, really believes in an organization. It's really how you spread the message. And during quarantine, you brought up these packages. Let's see if I can shift my camera a little bit here without knocking it over. But we've got all these boxes over here. I've turned my house into a shipment center, but we actually, on our website, you can order all the supplies to make these kits at home. It comes with like a how-to video of how to make it. And the best part, it comes with a whole packet of information about our technology. And what you do is you find your own local law enforcement agency, make these kits for them and give them the package that includes the info on our technology and making sure that they're using it and that they know it's free and available to them. It's definitely been a great way for people to volunteer at home and get involved.
And I just want to say to everybody who's watching at home, and are you shipping internationally right now, or is this mostly in America?
It's US only right now. We hope to expand it soon.
Amazing. But for those of you who are watching at home, who are American and who do, you know, feel inspired by this work, I really want to encourage you to order one of these kits and to make it for your local law enforcement, because there's no part of our population that's not connected to this. That's the really tragic thing, especially since we've gone into quarantine. You know, I was talking about this with my friend Alicia Kozak, who also does this work, and she's incredibly inspirational. One of the things that she said is that the quarantine, children are being quarantined with their abusers. And they're not able to go to schools or to go to a daycare center where maybe some strange behavior might alert some of their teachers or their friends to go, something's going on. Maybe I should investigate this. It's like this, you know, it's really, really important that we look at all facets of how we can track and find abusers so that we can stop them. And it's really important to try to get this into the hands of your local law enforcement and not say, oh no, well, I don't think that's happening around me. You know, the people in my community are really amazing and they would never do anything like this. I'm not saying they're not amazing. I'm just saying you don't know. And the more that this technology has a chance to spread, the more of an opportunity we have to stop the spread of this abuse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And unfortunately, this is a problem that we're seeing is happening everywhere. Really, anywhere that has access to the internet, we see these predators online, and unfortunately, the majority of them, even hands-on abusing children. But such a great point about children being home now. We saw two major problems happen. One, children were online more than ever, and predators were online more than ever. And another problem was, they weren't in schools. They weren't, going to the doctor or other places where this abuse could be recognized, and they'd have a trusted adult, maybe at school or somewhere else that they would go to, that they could confide in. Because really the majority of this type of abuse is happening within the own home. So it's someone who's already in that family circle of trust, or very known to the child. So definitely was scary when going into this, how we'd be able to still be working these cases and recognizing when that abuse is occurring.
Yeah. I also just want to say, because I've been noticing on the comment board that some people are saying they're having trouble donating right now. They can also go to Child Rescue Coalition online, your website, and donate there directly, right? If they're inspired to.
Yes. So this was the first time that we did a live fundraiser through Instagram, IG Live.
I don't know.
Yeah, I never seen the option till today. So if it's not working there, please go to childrescuecoalition.org, and we take donations from anywhere around the world. And even though I mentioned our blankets and bear kits are only available right now in the US, that doesn't mean our technology is US focused solely. We work in 97 countries around the world where we have officers trained on our technology, and we're identifying children and predators. So we definitely, maybe we live on opposite sides of the country, but we're working hopefully somewhere near you to work with law enforcement to also be rescuing children there.
Okay, so you guys, if you are in the international community and you want to donate, please go to childrescuecoalition.org, as Carly just said. And then also talk to your local law enforcement and see if they're using this technology, because this is not just a problem in America. Unfortunately, it is all over the world. Yeah.
So when I started Child Rescue Coalition, I didn't have children at the time. We started over 7 years ago. And since then, I have 2 little kids now. And so, rescuing, preventing sexual abuse, fighting for children has always been a cause I've been very passionate about. But once you become a mom, it just intensifies the need for it. So I know you're a mom and you have young kid. Are you thinking about what that means, what this digital life of social media and the internet and having phones at an early age? Have you already kind of started thinking about rules that you might have? Or
it's definitely like you were saying. Right now my daughter's so young. She's only 2.5, so I don't, right now the worry when she has a phone is just that she's going to lock me out of it, which she does every time. Got her when it comes to that. But really, when it comes to social media, I myself, I think that, which I think is why I want to work with your company so much, is child consent over their own image.
Yeah.
Is really, really important topic to me. And also that once an image is taken of a child, which I might view as a mother in one way, her cute little bottom getting out of the bathtub. Mm-hmm. If I put that online, I have no control over how the world is going to take that. And that's what really scares me about this, is that, and again, I'm not trying to make a decision for other parents, but because I know that there are a bunch of moms who are like, it's my child, I want to share with her family. I can't be here, and I want to show how cute and beautiful, their body is, and they're so strong, and you want to support them. But you also have to understand that image, if it's, anytime it's online, even if you have a private account, it is going to eventually be accessible to people that have you know, a very different idea of what a naked image of your child may be. And or even just a beautiful image of your child looking lovely in clothes. You know, you never know. And so for me, her ability to control her own image is something that I really want to support. So I don't post pictures of her with her face. I don't really post a lot of pictures of her, and I know that a lot of my fans have, you know, wondered about that, but it's just, I just don't think it's my place until she has a say in it. And until I can properly educate her, because I also have a fear of her being, you know, my God, I just was going through old pictures of myself when I was 13 and when I was trying to look cute and like Britney Spears and, you know, trying to like dress in a crop top. And I thought, you know, and I'm trying to look as sexy as possible. And I just didn't know, you know, thankfully these photos were like printouts from Long's Drugs. You know, I didn't have a phone
Right.
on an Instagram. And so I think it will be a big conversation between me and my daughter to say, you know, I really want you to feel proud of your body. I want you to feel beautiful in your body, but I want you to understand what that means if you choose to share an image of yourself with the online community. You know, it's very, very different from sharing it with me, with your dad, with, you know, it, like anything. I think it's just a larger conversation. So until she and I are able to have that conversation, for, you know, as a young, you know, as a probably a preteen, I just think that I'm gonna try to avoid as much social media as possible, just because there's just no way to control it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a powerful message, is that the idea of consent in general, you know, consent over their images and what gets posted and put out there. So we actually did a campaign a couple years ago about kids' privacy and really just trying to encourage parents to think and pause before you post. So again, not to say don't post images at all of your children. It's okay to share, but let's not overshare. Let's not overexpose nudity. Let's not talk about what school they attend and where they're at a given moment, or give out personal identifying information, because unfortunately we don't know whose hands it could end up in.
Absolutely. You know, I, before my daughter was born, I was making a short film kind of about, like when I was pregnant, about being about to have a child. And one of my dearest friends was kind enough to allow all three of her children to be in it with me. And I think one was 10 at the time, one was 7 at the time, and one was just 4 months old. And there was a diaper changing scene. And I was, you know, I was directing the film and I was acting in the film, and I was like, okay, I'm going to film the diaper changing scene. And she pulled me aside and she was like, would you consider the camera angle? Because if you include, you know, my daughter's nudity, and in my mind, I was like, I'm changing her diaper. Like, she's a 4-month-old. What do you mean?
Right.
But if you put this film out there, anybody can pause, you know, and take that image and do with it whatever they want. And it was really such a huge lesson for me as a mom in considering just a child's image and the consent. And that it was so inspiring to hear her, because her daughter was 4 months old. She couldn't consent. You know, her mother had consented for her to be a part of this film, and her mother advocating for her and saying, this is what I'm okay with for my daughter, and this is what I'm not okay with.
Yeah.
That we as parents, it's our job to advocate for our children until they're able to make that choice themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what's so important about the definition between child pornography and child sexual abuse material, right? Is that like, pornography is a consenting adult giving their image willingly, choosing, you know, to take, whether it's film or a picture of themselves, and share it. And children are unable to give that consent. They're just
right.
So you cannot call it child pornography. It's child sexual abuse material. It is an abuse every time you look at it.
Yeah, it's such a good point. We've really tried to make such a point to not label it as that anymore. And even within the law enforcement circle and community, it's still on the books as child pornography charges. And there's new legislation and actually a new petition that we're about to launch, really also encouraging law enforcement to start using these better labels, better terms for what it is, because it is implying that there is some sort of consent or willing participant.
Right.
And as we know, it isn't that way. This is graphic abuse. And, you know, in our tool and our technology, we actually track visually prepubescent children. So it's 12 and younger usually. So we want to make sure it's not a 19-year-old and is it a 17-year-old. These are children that haven't even developed, you know, their physical bodies yet. So yeah, calling it anything that would be a willing participant to these young kids is just the wrong term. So thank you for knowing this and being so savvy about this issue.
Of course. I mean, I'm just, it's been a really challenging, you know, I know that this is your work, and it's been a challenge to hear some of the things that are involved with this, but I just think it's such an important conversation for people having, whether you're a parent or not, you know?
Absolutely. So I mentioned before getting to work with all you inspiring women on this PSA. It was very exciting for us. And I was just wondering what woman in your life inspires you?
Oh my gosh, so many women. So many women inspire me. Women that are in my life directly really are my best friends. And I think what's so incredible about them is that we are all so different, and so we care about a lot of different things, and we bring each other to different causes. You know, like I was talking about one of my best friends becoming a foster parent. That opened up my eyes to the whole world of the foster care system that I really didn't know anything about. And watching her go through the preparation and kind of understanding the things that she was up against and what are the issues with the system and what, you know, where are the holes. It really allowed me to search for an organization like Together We Rise and work with them and see what I could do to be supportive of that. You know, and then I have other, you know, best friends that are off in a completely different direction. I think, you know, one of my best friends is Shay Mitchell from the PLL, and she has always been involved in combating child trafficking. You know, I know primarily she has worked in Asia and in Southeast Asia, and hearing her talk about the organizations that she's worked with and the work that she does has always been such an inspiration to me. Yeah. And then it was crazy to me that, you know, to be honest, like, I think one of the funny things was that Lucy and I didn't even realize that the other was working with child rescue. Until you told us about the PSA or something, where you were like, well, you know, you've been trying to do something and Lucy's been trying to do something. And I was like, oh my God, wait a minute.
You got to do it together. So
yeah,
it definitely, I think it was meant to be.
It was totally meant to be. And I'm just I feel so lucky to have so many incredible women in my life that, you know, I'm really just catching up to. You know, when you look at somebody like Lucy and you're like, oh, cool, you're doing this too. How can you have more service? You know, I want to be doing the work that you're doing, and I want to be as supportive as you are. And I think that's what we can celebrate about Women's Month is, like, you know, it's not the only time we get to celebrate women, but it is a wonderful excuse to take a step back and look at the women in your life and go, what's the work that they're doing, and how can I get involved, and, you know, how can I use my community of women around me to inspire me to be a better woman?
Yeah, I think that's such a way that we can be there for each other as women, is finding out what inspires them, what draws them, what they're passionate about, and supporting that, and, you know, being a part of all these different causes that mean something to yourself and to the friends and women around you. Yeah. So we definitely thank you for doing this. Is there any exciting projects that you're working on or anything coming up?
I know. I let's see. I got to work on an. I mean, speaking of the foster care system, that I have worked and directed a couple of episodes of the Foster spinoff, Good Trouble. And it's an incredible show, and I really encourage people to watch it. It's on. I almost said ABC Family. It's on Freeform. Past. And I know that my episode is coming up in the next few weeks, and it was really, really a blast to be able to direct. And then what else? I've been working on a film where I got to play a woman who is 9 months pregnant, so that was a fun trip down memory lane. And then I don't know if it's been announced, but I got to film a really wonderful pilot with Patrick Dempsey, who was a total dream to work with. Like, literally, I was like, I get why they call you dreamy. You're a dream. And so that's called Ways and Means, and I had a total blast doing it. And I feel like I've been really, really lucky. Quarantine has been, everybody's been healthy in my family, and I've been able to do work and able to participate and support some incredible foundations and organizations like yours. So I'm just counting my lucky stars right now.
Yeah, I know. It's the silver lining in all of this, and getting to spend more time with your family too than ever.
That's the thing is, realizing that I might have never gotten this time with my daughter. I'm sure you feel the same way. As by the end of the day, you're like, I need you. It is such a joy and such a treasure to be able to spend this time with her and watch her and not miss a moment of it.
Yeah. Well, gosh. Well, thank you for taking your time and being such a big part of it. We can't wait to see how many people share. Again, please go on and watch the PSA. Share it with your friends. It was really amazing work done by inspiring women. We will also want to make sure next month too that you join us. So we're going to have Lucy Hale. We're going to have her next week.
Yeah, right
for Women's Month. So Monday the 8th at 8 p.m. So she'll be on Instagram Live.
I'll be there.
Oh, good.
I'll be
message us.
I have questions.
Good. And then also, it really takes supporters like you guys who've been watching this. So please go to our website. You can go to the link in our bio also to donate to Child Rescue Coalition. But all kinds of information, resources for parents, ways to get involved, ways to donate is on childrescuecoalition.org. And thank you guys for being supporters and sponsors. This is how we're able to keep this technology free to law enforcement and train all over the world and protect more children. So thank you again, Troian. It's just been amazing.
I am so thrilled to have been able to speak to you, and thank you everybody for joining us. And please, like Carly said, go to the website, donate there. If you're a part of our international community, make sure that this technology reaches everywhere in the world. And if you can't donate, that's totally cool. Just share the PSA, share live, talk to your community about it. Just get the word out. We really, really appreciate people tuning in and being interested in this work because you are saving lives.
Absolutely. Yeah, just one share could let a law enforcement officer know about this tool, which could help rescue a child. So any way that you can help or get the message out there.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you. It's so good to see your face.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful week.
You too. Bye.
Bye.